Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm back doing another video representing Scrappy Shack, my favorite new store, by the way. Today I am going to demonstrate the Simon Hurley Stamping Foam heart cut piece, 4-piece, 3 ways. So I've got 3 very different ways that you can use this stamping foam, and here are some examples of what I've done here. So, and I will demonstrate in the video the 3 different ways that we do it. And this is a cool little tool. I had a lot of fun playing with it. So I hope you enjoy it too, and let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, here we go. So this is the stamping foam in the heart cut. It comes in 4 pieces, which is two rectangles with hearts in each one of them that you can take out or leave in. And I'm going to go ahead and pull one of these out of the package here. Let's try that again. And you can see that the heart can separate, but I'm going to start out, I'm going to put texture on the whole entire piece. So I'm going to do how Simon does, and I'm going to add just some mint tape to the corners and the center so that the stamping foam stays on the stamping block while I heat it. It really helps to have a nice thick big stamping block to really accomplish a nice good impression. And here I've got just a shop rag, but it's got a lot of texture in it. So I'm going to spend 10 to 15 seconds heating up this foam so it'll make the impression. And that's, by the way, how you remove the impression as well. So I'm going to push down it, and I am standing up and putting some really good pressure here so that I get a nice impression. And there we go. We've got ourselves a kind of a gravelly type impression on there. And then I'm going to take a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to take my Simon Hurley ink in the cookie dough. This is my new favorite ink, by the way. And I'm just going to rub it all along. And I'm not too worried about the heart itself because I'm going to be doing something different with the heart. And just give it one little light squirt of water. Lay it down on the paper and put some good pressure. And again, I'm standing up while I'm putting pressure on that. And now I've got myself a textured piece of paper. So I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to pull the heart out. And what I want to do is I want to get a different impression inside the heart. So I've got some Love Struck ink is what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to lay the heart. I'm not even going to clear off the other side as of yet. I'm just going to lay the rough side down and smooth side up. And I'm going to take this piece of lace that I have, or I guess it's not really, well, it is lace, whatever. This piece of stuff. I'm going to heat that heart, and then I'm going to put some really good pressure here. And there you see I've got that little impression in the heart. And then I'm going to take the Love Struck, and I'm just going to rub it all over the heart. And I'm not going to wet it. I'm just going to aim for this place where the heart was and give it a good bit of pressure. And there we have our first background ready to decorate and embellish. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to clean off my heart, and it cleans off really easy with water if you're using the Simon Hurley ink. I'm going to try and keep my piece of tape there for a second. And then I'm just going to heat this up again, and it does get kind of hot in your hands, so you kind of got to move your fingers around, but you see how it makes that texture just disappear. Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and clear off both sides so that I can get ready for the next way to do this. All right, so here I have a stamp from Simon Hurley. Love, love, love this stamp. I use it all the time, and I'm sorry I don't remember the name, but I will put it in the description box below. And I'm just going to lay the stamp face up, and I'm going to coat it with the Weeping Willow Simon Hurley ink. And then I'm going to just take my piece of paper, and I'm going to lay it on there, and I'm going to put some pressure on it so that the whole entire background gets stamped. Just lift it off, and there we've got that stamped. And for my heart, I want to do a solid heart. But it's neat because when you do this with the Simon Hurley ink, you can still see that background underneath the heart. It's faint, but you can see it, and I think it's super cool. So I'm just going straight down on this with this heart onto the stamping foam. No texture on it or anything. Give it a tiny squirt with water, and I'm going to aim and fire. And just stamp that right down onto my little background design. And see how you can see that little pattern underneath? I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to work on the third one. So for the third one, I am going to put a pattern in the heart. I'm going to put this same pattern. And I'm just cleaning this off so I don't get brown ink because I'm wanting to use different colors. And I'm going to just tape my heart down onto my little stamping acrylic. And I think this one is one of Simon's as well. And then I'm going to heat it up 10 to 15 seconds. Just make sure I get it good and hot all the way around. And then quickly I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to aim it for where I want. I'm going to stand up and give some really good pressure. And I'm rocking it a little bit because I want to make sure that I get all the edges too. Okay, so there we go. We've got our imprinted heart here. And then I'm going to grab a piece of paper here. And what I want to do is I want to add some color to this heart. So you can see I skipped through a little bit because the first one I did I didn't like. So we have that, right? So I'm going to do a second one. And so I'm going in with the Love Struck, and then I'm going to go right in underneath it basically with the traffic cone. And I am blending the traffic cone up into the Love Struck a little bit. And then I'll go in with the shooting star at the very end and blending that up into the traffic cone. Then I'm going to take a little blending brush that I've got a little bit of pink ink on. I don't mind. And I'm going to, well, I guess I'm going to, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. What I'll be doing is taking that brush and kind of blending in the inks, but I'm going to first put it down onto this acrylic block. So I'll take that little brush and I'm just kind of tapping and circling around so that the inks blend and I don't get such a harsh line. There we go. Make sure that's secure on there. And I'm not going to wet it. I'm just going to, I'm holding on to it because it dropped in the first take. I don't want it to drop again. So I did not water that. I'm putting this straight down. So no water, just the ink. And I'm just giving good pressure so I get a good impression. And there I've got that beautiful pattern on that heart. And what I want to do next is I want to put a different background around it. So I've got the background that we did before, and I'm going to leave that pattern there. And I'm going to go ahead and use the, again, the cookie dough ink. And just ink that up really well. So this is the same pattern that we created with the, with a little piece of a shop rag. And then I'm going to stand up so I can see over the heart, and I'm not watering this one down either. I'm just going to stamp that straight down because I can see the heart, so I know where I'm going. And just give it a good amount of pressure. And there we go. We've got ourselves a little pattern background, and I'm not worried about the top edge because I'll be trimming it down. And what I end up doing on this is I use the Sizzix little hearts, and I cut a frame for this heart and colored it with lunar paste. It comes out really cool. I'm going to go ahead and trim this up here. So I'm trimming it to 4 by 5 1/4. Having trimmed off that top, and then I just do a little bit off each side. And there's that trimmed down. Now let's go ahead and finish these off. So I've got this first one, and what I'm going to be doing here is just kind of deepening the edges of this heart. And I'm just using this little waffle flower brush to kind of brush in color, because I felt like it didn't have a top to it. So, you know, I'm giving it a little bit of help here. And I just dip it in the Love Struck because that's the color I used, and just kind of add some depth around the edges of this heart. Hearts are a pretty easy shape to color in, by the way. So I'm pretty happy with that, but I do end up trimming this down, and I'm going to also take one of my Tombow blending pens and make a little bit more of a line at the top of that heart, because I feel like it's still a little bit too faded out. So I'm just going to take the Tombow pen and I'm going to dip it in the ink and just give it a little more of a defined edge there. And then do a little bit of blending out. There we go. Now that just kind of gives it a little more definition for us. I'm very happy with that. So what I'll do is I'll take the small heart from this Sizzix set that I got from Scrappy Shack, and I'm going to cut out a heart out of some watercolor paper. And once I've got the heart cut out, I'm going to actually color in the heart with the same color, only in a solid kind of color. So here it's white, but I want it to be the solid in the Love Struck. So these would be good for Valentine's, but they're also good for other occasions. And you'll see that I don't really make any of these particularly Valentine. Hearts are good forever, right? We love hearts. So I'm just going straight pad to paper with this to get that solid color on there. And I'll pop that up on a piece of foam, on some foam tape, at the very tip top of the heart, like that. Just to kind of give it, you know, some personality. We want a little more personality in our card. You could leave it just like it is if you wanted to. Me, I like stuff. I like stuff on my card. So I'll go ahead and trim that off, get the foam tape off. And just pop that right up. Just like that. There we go. I like that way that looks already. And I'll place that onto a piece of craft cardstock, because the cookie dough color and the brown. So, you know, I think of candy and cookies when I think of the Love Struck and the chocolate colors. I love them, even though, you know, cookie dough is obviously not chocolate. It could have chocolate in it. Yeah, well, certainly could. Okay, so now I want to choose a sentiment, and I pulled out some of my Simon Hurley stamps. I figure since I'm doing Simon, I'll stick with all Simon's products here. You can use anything you want, but I've chosen You're in My Prayers, and I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper, place this down onto my little acrylic block here, and looking for a scrap here because I don't want to use a whole piece of paper. There we go, I've got a good scrap. And I'm just rubbing that down with my finger so it'll grab the ink, and I'm grabbing the Love Struck, and I'll stamp this a couple of times just so that I can be sure that I've got full color on it. And once I do, I'll fussy cut that out off screen. All right, next we've got this little heart shape that I cut out because I want to align this little decorative heart that we did, and I'm actually coloring this in with lunar paste and my finger. You could use a brush if you want, but my finger's a lot easier to clean. I'm just going to move that aside and clean up the lunar paste, and it cleans up just with water. And this is Prom Queen that I used. Get my finger clean there, then I'll pull my little background back in, and I'll get this little heart glued down. The lunar paste, when you put it on in a thin application like that, dries really fast. So I'm just going to kind of lay it so I can aim really well, because, you know, blind people. But anyway, get that down on there, and then I'm going to want a sentiment. And there's a little spot where my tweezers touched. I'll just get a tiny bit of lunar paste on my finger and clean that up. And then I'm going to choose Hugs for this, and I went ahead and stamped that out off camera and cut it out. And I stamped that in just First Fine Clair in the black. And you can see I'm taking the Love Struck here, and I'm just kind of edging lightly the panel. I like the sort of vignette look, and it pulls in, you know, the color from the heart. So this one's a more colorful heart. You could use any colors you want again, but I'll put this down on a white card base. And I'll probably do some little bit of embellishment. And the final one is going to be our, what I'm calling a chocolate heart. And I really want to make this antique looking. So I'm going to take the cookie dough and I'm going to go straight down to the paper with it and just rub it all over the whole paper. It instantly gives it age, and I love, love, love it. So that's super easy, and you could just slap a sentiment on there from here. But I am going to take a brush, and I'll go ahead and just do the edges here. And I want to do them not too heavy, but I do want it pretty defined on there. So I'll go all the way around the edge and pull in that focal point of that heart. So I go a little bit more on the corners than I do on the edges. And it really adds a beautiful effect. This brown weeping willow and this cookie dough, I'm just totally in love with these colors. I'm so happy Simon decided to do some neutral colors, and I can't wait to see more. So there we've got that, and that heart almost looks felt, huh? I love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit more romantic, and I'm going to add some lace, but I'm going to get the lace a little bit dirty there in that ink, just for fun. And then I'm going to just lay it where I want it. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to pop some foam tape on top of it so it stays put. And then off camera, I will foam tape the rest of it and attach it to a card base. So you want to put it down on one side and then turn it back over and check your placement, and then lay it down on top of the lace on the other side. All right, so I've got it popped down with some foam tape onto a piece of card, craft card, and then I stamped the You Are So Beautiful from one of Simon's kits, and I colored that. I stamped it with the Love Struck again, and then I'm edging it with the Weeping Willow. And I'll pop both of these down onto the card as well. So I'm going to pop the You Are So right on the lace. In order to do that effectively, I'm going to actually use my Beacon 3-in-1 glue or Fabri-Tac glue. And it just will stick quicker because my reptile adhesive will stick, but you have to sit there and hold it, and I just don't have time for all that. And then I'm going to pop up the beautiful on a little piece of foam tape. And this is just a little foam strip. And I'm going to place it underneath the You Are So. There we go. Make sure I've got my placement. Loving this card. Now I've got some little pearls here, and I want to add pearls to this one to keep with the kind of romantic feel. So I'm just going to throw a little bit out there on my little foam pad and try and pick them up. Not my foam pad, my little silicone mat. Yeah, I'm going to end up switching out tools. I've got another one that's going to help let me move those pearls around to where I want them. And I believe I'm going to do 3 on each side of the heart, of the sentiment. There we go. Just kind of adjust them the way I want them. And I'll go ahead and get those glued down off camera, and then we'll look at the projects. So here's the first one, and there's the second one. I added Nuvo drops, and I added some little sequins onto the Hugs card. Now the Nuvo drops, they went pink on me, but I'm not mad. So here are the finished heart cut foam, stamping foam 3 ways. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.